Martel himself back then has remained connected to him in ways that keep dragging her back into the spotlight. She has always been vocal, sometimes lashing out, sometimes defending herself, but never fully out of the picture. And now, with her dropping receipts about Martel and Destiny, it's like she's flipping the script saying, "Y'all thought you knew it all, but here's the truth you didn't see." Now, Destiny Payton, when she first joined the show, seemed like she was going to be that neutral friend, that person who could be there for both Melody and Martel as they went through their very public divorce. She came in married to LaBarrick, Williams trying to build her own story, and for a moment, fans thought she would be that voice of reason in a cast that was constantly splitting into sides. But over time, it became clear that her loyalty leaned heavily toward Martel, and that loyalty started raising eyebrows. Viewers noticed how often she defended him, how quick she was to justify his actions, and how close they seemed in private moments. And when her own marriage ended, when she went through her own divorce, it was like the bond between her and Martel grew even stronger. Because now they were both divorced, both single, both trying to rebuild under the public eye, and both leaning on each other in ways that didn't feel like just friendship anymore. Fans started to whisper, "Is something going on here?" And those whispers only grew louder as time went on. The problem was, Destiny was also supposed to be Melody's friend, and that's where the tension got thick. Melody Sherry, after going through so much heartbreak with Martel, needed her circle to be solid, loyal, and without question. But Destiny's constant defending of Martel, her closeness with him, and her refusal to ever really check him publicly started to look like betrayal in Melody's eyes. Their friendship began to unravel, and fans were left wondering if the real reason Melody pulled away from Destiny was because she saw something that nobody else wanted to admit. And here's where Ariane's receipts come into play. Because if what she is suggesting is true, then Melody's instincts were dead on all along. And I need you to stay with me here, because what's being revealed doesn't just impact Martel and Destiny, it changes how we view past seasons, old reunions, and even the side comments from people like LaTisha Scott, Kimmy Scott, and Miss Wanda, because suddenly their reactions make a whole lot more sense. Let's talk about those receipts. Because Ariane is not just speaking randomly this time, she's pointing to messages, timelines, and connections that line up with what fans have been speculating for years. We've seen the screenshots floating around online, messages that appear to be private conversations between Martel and Destiny, conversations that hint at a closeness that goes way beyond just friends. Some people tried to brush them off, saying maybe they were fake, maybe fans were reaching, but when you line up the timing of Destiny's divorce, Martel's divorce, their late-night talks, and the way Destiny always had Martel's back when no one else did, the puzzle pieces start fitting together. And here's the thing. Martel and Destiny have never outright denied these rumors. They've avoided, they've brushed off, but they've never looked straight into the camera and said, "This never happened." And in reality TV, silence often speaks louder than words. Now let's bring in the rest of the cast, because their reactions tell us a lot too. Remember those sly looks that LaTisha Scott would give whenever Martel and Destiny's names came up together? Fans at first thought she was just being messy, stirring the pot as she usually does. But now people are going back to old episodes and saying, wait a minute, maybe LaTisha knew something she couldn't say outright. And then there's Kimmy Scott. Kimmy is usually calm, collected, and neutral. But whenever questions about Destiny's loyalty to Martel came up, her body language said it all. She would shift, look uncomfortable, avoid eye contact, almost like she suspected something but didn't want to put it out there. And let's not forget Miss Wanda. Miss Wanda is never afraid to stir things up. And while she didn't come out and accuse Martel and Destiny directly, the little comments she made about loyalty and betrayal now feel like foreshadowing, little clues that fans ignored at the time but are circling back to now. And that's why I need you to keep watching until the end, because as we dig deeper, you're going to see how all of these puzzle pieces create one big picture that changes everything. The timeline is especially suspicious. Martel and Destiny's closeness really started right around the time they were both going through divorces. That's when they were both vulnerable, both looking for comfort, and both standing apart from the rest of the cast. Destiny was one of the only people who didn't fully turn her back on Martel when everyone else did. Melody was moving forward, creating her music, building her businesses, reclaiming her power, But Destiny stayed by Martel's side, almost like she was filling a void in his life. To casual viewers, it looked like loyalty, but to fans who were watching closely, it looked like intimacy, like two people leaning on each other in ways that crossed the line of friendship. And the more you go back and watch those old episodes, the more obvious it becomes that something deeper was happening. Even at reunions, when questions about Martel's behavior would come up, Destiny was always quick to defend him, quick to redirect the conversation, quick to make excuses. And Melody, you could see it in her face, she wasn't buying it. She would sit there composed but clearly frustrated, like she knew Destiny was hiding something. And fans now believe that Melody's intuition was spot on, that she picked up on the energy between Martel and Destiny long before anyone else did. That would explain why their friendship ended so suddenly and so completely. It wasn't just disagreements, it wasn't just petty drama, it was something deeper. Something that cut at the heart of trust. Now think about how this changes the bigger story of love and marriage, Huntsville. If Martel and Destiny really were more than just friends, then years of storylines take on a new meaning. Destiny's so-called loyalty wasn't just loyalty, it was personal. Her constant defending of Martel wasn't just about fairness, it was about protecting her own connection to him. And Martel, once again, would be shown as a man who thrives on secrets, betrayals, and drama, unable to separate chaos from relationships. For Destiny, it would mean her entire role on the show looks different, because instead of being the neutral friend caught in the middle, she was actually a participant in the very betrayal that divided the cast. And for Melody, it would be the Iboire and ultimate confirmation that she was right to cut ties, right to move on, and right to see Destiny not as a friend, but as someone who chose Martel over her. And here's the kicker. Reality TV has taught us one thing over and over again. The truth always comes out. Secrets can be hidden, producers can try to stretch the story for ratings, but eventually, fans piece it together, cast members slip up, and leaks make their way to the surface. And that's exactly what's happening here with Ariane Curry. By dropping these receipts, whether people like her or not, she's forcing everyone to look again at Martel and Destiny, to question the story they've been telling, and to admit that maybe the truth was in front of us all along. And that's why you need to stay with me until the very end, because the more we put these pieces together, the more this entire picture becomes undeniable. Now let's not forget, Ariane Curry herself has been through it with Martel. She was the other woman for years, dragged by the public, labeled harshly, but she's always said that she's not the only one who has been close to Martel while he was with Melody, and even after. So, when she comes forward with receipts about Destiny, people may doubt her, but they also know that if anyone would have inside knowledge of Martel's behavior, it's Ariane. And that's what makes this so explosive. It's not just random gossip. It's coming from someone who has lived through the chaos firsthand. And whether you love her or hate her, you can't deny that when Ariane speaks, people listen, because they know she's seen it all. So, what happens now? That's the question fans are asking, and it's the question you need to stick around for, because the fallout from this could be huge. Could be huge.